Hello, welcome to HR After Dark, where we talk about everything human resources, but we give it a more of a fresh and uplifting perspective. So here we are again. I'm Marcia.
And I'm Meghan, and tonight we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics, onboarding.
Onboarding.
Yes. I don't know why I love onboarding so much.
You do. We talk about it quite a bit,
actually.
actually.
I had to physically get it pulled from my hands when Ashley came on the team.
Yeah, I did. It's still painful, actually, for you when you talk about it.
I know. I like to pop in.
Yeah, is that the
I like to pop in. I just like to make sure I get to meet everybody.
I think I feel. With all
You're
you
right.
guys,
Good,
you're like,
great point. Good point.
I want to do this myself.
I'm like, give me that. Give
Yeah.
me this. Onboarding is an awesome topic to talk about for
What
any
is onboarding?
size. Oh, I'll tell you all about it. Well, it could be for any size business, of course. But onboarding is the way you treat and engage your new members on your team. And so it's basically the first impression you're making on any of your new teammates. So you have one chance after the interview process to make them feel awesome.
You do. And I would say people don't know the stats behind that too, but it's usually within the first literally 30 days, someone's going to make a decision whether or not they're going to stay 1 year. And then I tell people that all the time. They're like, oh, you're crazy. So I love it when people come on board here and they'll say, best onboarding I've ever been through. And I think we take a lot of pride in that. It's definitely something we have named Game Day.
Yep.
But I don't think everybody realized how much time and effort it took to put together, but it's totally worth it.
Totally worth it. Do you know that I used to be an onboarding specialist in college?
I did not know that, but I am not surprised.
I was an orientation guide.
Ah.
I feel very passionate about making people feel welcome and comfortable.
Yep.
Because no matter where you are in your career, whether it's your first job out of college or an internship, or you're starting your very last job that leads you to retirement, it's still intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
We had a new person start 2 weeks ago, and she has been in her HR career for quite a while. And she's like, I'm still just getting the lay of the land. And no matter how far you get, it just doesn't become easier. So I think there's so much to be said about how you can treat people and ideas about all of that. So talk to me about when you started and you brought your first employee along, Janice, who's still with us to this day.
Yep.
What did onboarding look like then? And we'll talk about how it looks now.
Not like it looks like now. It was literally with her. She and I would spend a half an hour because she was out on the West Coast too. So keep that in mind. We had a time difference. So every day we would speak about 30 to an hour, minutes along in regards to just how's it going, what's happening, what's not happening. There were no systems. We didn't have benefits back then. We didn't have, a policy. We didn't even have an HR handbook. I mean, here I am, an HR consulting company and been in business for 3 years. We didn't have a handbook, people.
Oh, well, you need it then.
But we do now, and it's been updated every 6 months. But, ironically enough, as you sit back and you pinch yourself and say, well, we didn't have any of that. We had an agreement for her that she signed off. There was no HRIS system. The payroll we had used was a smaller firm. And, she just took basically, she trusted a former employer that used to work for me.
Yep.
And she said, you should work with Marcia. Marcia, you need a Janice. And the rest has been history. But a long time. Yeah, but I knew I wanted something that made people feel comfortable and to go over all the small little things. And now we had to add, think about it, it's been evolving. We now do Zoom etiquette. Before COVID, we didn't have to do a Zoom etiquette piece. And now we do.
Yeah, we do. I have a lot of conversations with clients about best practices with onboarding.
Yep.
And I always tell them it doesn't have to be your HR person. It can be, of course.
Yeah.
But we have our marketing team running the majority of it.
Yep.
And that was a choice that we made, but every company is different. So what I always advise on is selecting somebody at the company who has a passion for it.
Yes.
Because they're going to see their true self there.
Yep.
And somebody who's going to leave a wonderful first impression on those new hires. Of course, there's the operations and, getting used to the technology and all of that stuff, but it's also about learning the culture.
Oh, yeah.
And so select somebody at the company or a team of people in the company who are going to make a lasting impression on them.
I also think it's important to assign them a mentor as well,
Or a buddy.
Yeah,
I love that.
because when you start, it's really like, who do I talk to? What do I go to? Is a stupid question. And no question is stupid, but being a CEO, I rarely get asked those questions, and I'm always like, why not? I'm pretty approachable. I'm like, because it's those 3 initials. But I think you set it up where it's really easy. And people always think it should be just like 2 hours. I'm like, no, ours is all day.
Yep.
And it actually goes into, depending upon what division you go into, it goes into a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Because you should meet all the people, all the characters, what to do, how to go. And so we actually spend the time doing that with them. And it's gotten harder because of hybrid.
Yeah, right.
But it's still, we make the effort to make sure that people know each other and feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, you can always find ways to get creative on how to make sure someone feels like they're part of the team if they're not physically here.
Yes.
But thinking about the way that we do orientation actually updates our orientation deck every single quarter.
Yep.
And she put a theme around it called Game Day. And with Game Day, it is the team collaboration piece of it, and all the different parts are relating to a team.
Yep.
And so if you theme it and you make it fun, it's something for them to look forward to.
Totally.
Offering a big box of swag.
Oh, yeah.
Things that they're going to wear to rep your company, things that they're going to actually use and enjoy. It doesn't have to be like pens that are laying around your office. It should be actually, you should spend money on it.
Wait a minute, pens still work.
I love pens. Don't get me wrong. I love a good pen. I love a good pen and notebook. I order lots of those. But, we have really, we have thinking about during the pandemic when we had a new hire coming on and his wife just had a baby.
Yep.
And so we got them a gift card to go out to dinner on a date night.
We did.
And said, welcome and thank you for sharing your family with us.
Yeah.
And so thinking about how you can step outside the box
You sort
on
of have
giving
to do
things.
that.
Yeah.
But not everybody thinks that. They just think it's automatically set up. And I tell you now, like if you don't have somebody who is organizing this and keeping on top of things, we had a client of ours who basically was a controller who we hired, great controller, great everything, but their onboarding, somebody dropped the ball big time. There was no computer for him. There was no desk for him.
They didn't even know he was
Reception
starting.
didn't know he's even starting.
Yeah.
And so he didn't like that at all. And I don't blame him. And he left, and he told us ahead of time. And we said, maybe we should help you on the HR side of the house too, because that sort of fell through the crack. But I think people think it's automatically nobody's talking in companies to say this person's responsible for onboarding.
Yeah.
And that is so key.
Yeah, like having that spreadsheet, like that whole agenda of who does what. Imagine showing up to your first day and everybody being like, oh, who are you?
Yes.
That's like going in the schoolyard when you're a kid and not like going up to other kids and they don't want to play with you.
Yeah.
It is really doesn't feel good no matter where you are. So somebody has to own it. Somebody has to have that spreadsheet that, people can have different parts of it, but one person organizing it. And then we have the buddy going on, but we also have one-on-ones to make sure that they get to know all of the leaders within the company.
Yes.
So what the talent acquisition team does. How the HR team works. How operations works.
Right.
And moving all through the process and making sure that they have a full understanding of what the company does.
Right.
Because they're a mini marketer for us.
True, but I also think people right now, because the economy is a little bit lower, I think people are forgetting this is a great time for you to spend the time really updating your onboarding, because eventually it'll go back up again and more hiring is going to happen probably in 2025 and all, and you want to make sure that onboarding is really tricky. I think people wait till last minute to fix things, and I'm like, no, take the time now to do all this and fix all this and put it in play so that you're ready to go when the time comes.
Yep. I also think agendas for the first couple of weeks are important, so that if it is a remote person, they're not just sitting at their computer like, what do I do today? And making sure that they have that, and then check-ins with them to say like, hey, how's it going? What questions do you have? Do we not cover?
Yep.
And I think that they are likely to succeed, and you are likely to retain them if you have a full-blown plan in place.
Oh, yeah. Well, the itinerary is like really important to go through everybody and what they're doing. And I tell people too, just don't expect 1 week, expect like maybe a month. Yeah. Because it takes a good, believe it or not, I tell people 6 to 9 months to get really familiar with your position. And I think sometimes people look at this person's been here 30 days, should be fine. I'm like, no, there's still so much they don't know. And now that we're hybrid, it's even harder to figure out who does what. We've been here every day, so we know who to go to, what to do, how to talk. Somebody from the outside has no idea.
Totally.
And unfortunately, people don't realize how strong an onboarding is, because it is literally that first year when you hire somebody, that's your best referral source. And so if you don't go after them, typically it's like that first 90 days for like, hey, we're hiring, who do you know?
Yeah.
That's a great referral source, because they're excited, they've got great onboarding, they have more time to find somebody to refer them and all. And I always tell people that should be one of your top 3 sources of hiring is actually referrals.
People want to work with people they like.
They do.
And so I think that's a really important piece of this onboarding as well.
I think people forget that. I think onboarding has gone down a tube a lot because it's an expense that people don't want to spend on it.
Rushing.
But I tell people it's more of an expense to keep hiring people. And so when you start looking at your attrition numbers and all and figuring that out, but it should technically be like one of your top 3. And they should also say your onboarding should be one of the best experiences they've had here.
Yeah.
By far.
Let me ask you about the technology behind like thinking about like HRIS systems, so human resources information systems. What do you think? I mean, that obviously is a game changer when it comes to all the documents and everything that has to live in one spot. But that's a crucial piece of onboarding too.
Oh, it is. I personally, I tell people who are at least 15 to 20 people, if you're at 20 people and planning to grow, you definitely want to install an HRIS. It doesn't have to be bells and whistles. It can be very simple. I would say just make sure it has some kind of compatibility to like tie into your payroll and your general ledger, because otherwise you're spending too much money on all these systems. But having something like most of my people are now like hybrid. And so I wanted to have an app so they can see their reports, their W-2, their pay stubs, their benefits, everything in one spot. So we chose a vendor to do that. But there's a lot of really good vendors right now. They've done a great job of managing all that. And I think sometimes especially for entrepreneurs, you don't have to spend a lot of money for them. It's actually pretty reasonable out there price, but put it in play, really use it, use all the modules that come with it. Because a lot of people don't do that either. They spend all this money. They use one module and no more. And that's a shame. But I would say really utilize it, because when you get onboarding on home and you fill everything online and it goes into a system and it gets checked off, and next thing you know, it's less error, it's less mistakes, makes you look like you're a technically solvent company and you know what you're doing. And it's just such more of a smoother process. So much more.
What do you think about people who are remote, like fully remote? What are some ideas to help companies engage them and make sure that they are, even the first 90 days, make sure they're a part of the team?
I think you have a strategy schedule, and that is basically having, not only do they have an itinerary, but the team inside should have an itinerary of reaching out to that person and saying, hey, how'd your first week go? And the second week would be somebody else reaching out like, hey, I'm this person from this area, wanted to say hi, how things are going for you. Just make sure that there's some kind of contact in there. Because when you start these things and put them in place, you want people to stay. You want people to feel excited. You want people to like be a part of the team and feel, and you add them onto committees quickly. If you have committees, and add them to the committees quickly and just say, I'm going to add you to Culture Club. I'm going to add you to Connectors Who Care. So they feel like they're adding value and they're part of the team. People always want to be part of a team. And sometimes you have to pluck them to do it. But you know what? And I think they're happy afterwards because now they know people to get things done.
What do you think about buddies, like selecting buddies? Do you think it's best to put them with somebody who's doing the job that they're doing, or putting them with somebody else in the company to help them learn what else the business does?
I think it's both. I think depending on what kind of position, like I think if you're in a recruiter, I think it helps to have another recruiter, because there's a lot of systems, places to find different data. So to me, it's probably better to have a recruiter to them because they know what's happening. Same on the HR side. But if you're sales and operations, it's, you can have somebody from operations work on sales, because we're all intertwined and all too. But I think it helps make things a little bit easier, to have a second, maybe even a second buddy. But
that's a good idea.
Going back to your question about the hybrid, during COVID, as you know, we sent out a lot of stuff to our people to make them feel like they're loved. And we usually do a holiday party, and that was the year that I sent the holiday party to their house instead. And
that was the best.
And it was basically a gift card to like a restaurant,
really nice
and
card.
Wine and champagne inside, and just saying it's time to celebrate yourselves, but hopefully next year we'll celebrate together. But it was just some things like that really helped out. We sent out Hope's cookies. We sent out so many different things that we did pies. We did Oh my God, we did the whole thing from Founding Farmers. That meal was amazing with toilet paper. And, all those different things made people feel like they were being a chocolate to do the chocolates and all.
Yeah. And
we
also
did that.
meals for people when they're going through stuff. I think that's like really important too.
We do that heavily right now. What does that mean? Like when somebody is sick or somebody's lost a parent or, a relative and all, we'll send them basically a care package. And we have another entrepreneur, amazing family out in Royersford that does amazing chocolate covered pretzels, and so we have them branded with our logo and all too. Basically, I'll say like "Happy Birthday" or "In Sympathy" or "Congratulations," and they get this huge, 12 chocolate covered pretzels, which we hope they share, but I'm not sure they always do.
Yeah, they're very delicious.
They are delicious.
What do you think about this? For me at least, thinking about orientation and onboarding over the course of a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
it is a great time to set expectations.
Yes.
About how to work at that location or what you are supposed to accomplish in your role.
Yeah.
So that's a starting point of that. And then after that point in the check-ins, and you have the feedback and you have hopefully one-on-ones with your managers, but that's a great time to set the expectations. You get the handbook signed. You have, everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing after that first couple of, weeks.
Yeah. And I think one of the things we talked about was like last swag, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of companies are going through a tough time right now. So money is really, really tight.
Yeah.
One of the nice things that you can do is basically, I don't care if you're the CEO or a leader or a manager or somebody you have underneath them, just saying welcome aboard and get your phone out, do a little video, welcome them aboard, text it to them, and just say, hey, thanks for being part of this team. But taking the time to do that, it goes a really long way because people actually save those things.
Right.
And it makes them feel like they're already part of the team.
Yeah. And handwritten notes. You do that a lot.
Yeah. We're big about
that. Try to take those from you, but it's important. Like getting a handwritten note from a CEO is better than a bonus.
Yeah, but I like
people would fight me on that, I'm sure. But I think that really goes a long way. It's like taking the time to say, hey, I was thinking about you. Welcome to the company, whatever it is, personalization.
Or just birthday or anniversaries, just small little things like that too. And I just think it means a lot. I mean, is it time suck? Yeah. But I think it's worth it.
Yeah. I feel like this is a time where, like you mentioned, people have a little bit more availability to spend time on their business. I noticed that during the holidays, of course, too. So we're getting more and more onboarding projects, and I can't wait to get involved. I know I shouldn't be, but I just love helping people come up with creative ways to make people feel welcome. So I feel like this is a good time for companies to refocus. And rename, rebrand onboarding, and make their people feel great for retention.
Yeah,
purposes.
They don't even have to use us. I would say if they just called us and say, hey, can we have coffee and just get some ideas from you to do all this? Can we just, use your brains a little bit? Feel free. That's what we're here for, kind of a deal. But if we can make people feel comfortable and happy in their lives with their jobs, then I could sleep a little better at night.
Me too. Cheers to that, Marsh.
All right, well, okay, if you insist. Cheers us.
Cheers to us. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to HR After Dark. We'll catch you next time. But until then, take care of your people and happy onboarding.